Good morning. What day is it? Hump day. Mike. So, I heard a great phrase the other day that we are like fruit, and when we get squeezed, what's inside comes out. And that's really true. Tony Robbins talks about an emotional home, that we all have an emotional home. And when we get put under pressure, that's where we go. So, what is your emotional home? Is it frustration? Is it anger? Is it caring and nursing, nurturing? When you get under pressure, where do you go? Where is it that you run to? We've all got a place where we're most comfortable. Some people, especially like guys, when they get stressed, they go fix things. They try to solve the problem. They run around and do that. So like when there's a bad car wreck, more often than not, the phone call that I get comes from a man. It'll come from a kid. It'll come from a husband. And so like with a husband, if a husband's wife gets in a really bad wreck and she's in a really bad place in the hospital undergoing all kinds of treatments, a lot of times the husbands will get all wrapped up in the car. And, the kids, if they have kids or their relatives, will be like, why does he care about the car? How come he doesn't care about her? And I explain, well, he does care about her, but he can't control that. He can control the car, and it makes him feel like he's doing something because he can't do anything to help her. So he focuses on the car. So that's a person that when they're stressed, they need to fix. They need to fix it. That's me, by the way. So some people when they're stressed get angry. Some people when they're stressed get depressed, and so they'll turn to food, they'll turn to alcohol, they'll turn to sleep. Some people when they're stressed will turn to nurturing. That's nurses. That's people in that profession will decide that they got to find somebody to care for, and that's how they cope. So it's good to know what your emotional home is, because when you start to get stressed and you start to go there, then you can take yourself out of it. Because a lot of times our stress place isn't necessarily what's needed in this particular situation. But you can also recondition yourself so that when you get stressed, you go to a different place. There used to be this, I don't think it's on television anymore. There used to be this show on TV called The Biggest Loser. And when it first came out, it was a show that I really enjoyed. They would take people who were pretty significantly overweight. I mean, for a guy, they would take a guy who was 5'10" and about, 320 pounds, or, for a woman that was, 5'6" and 220. So people that were pretty big, and in a year, they would turn them into absolute fitness models. And I that's not an exaggeration. I mean, they could be on the cover of any fitness magazine. And they did it through just diet and exercise. No tricks, no gimmicks, no pills, no, special products, no surgeries, no nothing. Just diet and exercise over a year. But if you watch the show, the trainers needed to be therapists at the beginning. And they all knew that. They all knew that there was a reason that these people ate. And that was their emotional home, was they would go and eat food. And so when they would get stressed about something, they would, figure out a way to get them stressed on the show. And then the trainers would figure out why it was that they turned to food. And they would dig that out of them. And then the next thing that they would do is they would recondition them, because the other thing that happens is when they didn't feel good, they would eat, because it would change their biochemistry. It would slow them down, and they would feel more settled. And they would feel more relaxed because there was food in their body. It would lower their blood pressure. And they also felt good because they would skyrocket their blood sugars. Well, then, they would get up and they would feel badly because they didn't look good and they didn't like how they felt. And so then they would eat again. So the way that they would recondition it is whenever they felt stressed or depressed or something was wrong, they would immediately go and exercise. And they would exercise them really hard, so they would create endorphins. And so the endorphins would make it so they got on an endorphin high, and they would change what they were addicted to. So rather than being addicted to food, now they were addicted to exercise. And that became their new home. When they got stressed, they would know, if I go exercise, I'm going to feel better, and I'm going to feel a lot better, and then that's going to continue. So that became their new method of conditioning. So you can do the same thing. So when you start to get stressed and you start to go to your emotional home, you can change your conditioning to that. So then you can go breathe, you can go meditate, you can do those deep diaphragmatic breaths that I talked about a long time ago. You can go exercise, you can go, connect with your spouse. But you can recondition that emotional home so that you don't go to anger or getting defensive or I got to fix everything or depressed and turn to alcohol or food in order to relax yourself. And the simple way that you do that is you change the new associations. When you feel that, go do something that's positive that then ultimately makes you feel good, and eventually you're going to change a new association. So ask yourself the question, what fruit are you? What flavor are you? When you get stressed and you get squeezed, what comes out? And watch the people around you. When they get stressed and they get squeezed, what's inside will come out on them too. Have a great day. Thank you very much for watching. We're all in this together. Let's take care of each other.